Now I know you've seen paranormal clips before, but not like this.
From cryptids in the wild to eerie encounters caught on camera, today's episode will mess with your very sense of reality.
I'm Steve. This is Classified Captures. Now I got one question for you. Are you ready? Well, let's jump in.
This creepy footage was recently shared from Cincinnati, and according to the uploader, it was recorded by a dash cam in a Tesla. According to the owner, she'd pulled up at a stop sign. Both the front and back cameras were rolling, recording everything as usual. At first, no pedestrians were walking across the street, nothing in sight. But here's where it gets disturbing. As soon as the Tesla pulls away from the stop, the rear camera suddenly picked up on this man with one arm standing right in the middle of the road, almost as if he had appeared out of thin air. When the footage was reviewed, in the front camera view, you can see a faint, shadowy outline right around the spot where the man would later appear, yet there was no physical person there. The driver was completely shaken. Was this a ghost caught on Tesla's camera? Did this figure somehow step out of a portal? Or is this just another glitch in the way these high-tech cameras capture movement? A man was out by a dam when he decided to pull out his phone and record some video. But then he noticed something that made him stop. Moving just beneath the surface were three large fin-like shapes. The way they glided in perfect sync suggested they weren't separate fish, but parts of something huge lurking below. But the size and movement, this wasn't any ordinary fish. Some who've seen this footage speculated could be a massive catfish or some other giant aquatic creature, but others believe it points to a lake monster or even an undiscovered species. So what do you think it is? People are really taking this whole AI wave into some really unsettling directions. There's a new trend going around where people create videos of humans morphing into grotesque, almost demonic-looking figures, and honestly, it's deeply disturbing to watch. The transformations don't look like normal art or fantasy edits. Instead, the faces twist unnaturally, limbs stretch in ways that could make your skin crawl, and the result looks more like a horror movie monster than a creative experiment. It looks like these AI tools are channeling something darker. People who've come across the clips online admit they're hard to shake off. The faces and shapes linger in your mind long after the video ends, almost like a nightmare playing on repeat. Now, whether this is just people pushing AI for shock value, or if there's something deeper and more symbolic behind it, one thing is certain: this trend is unsettling. A man posted some very haunting footage on Reddit. It came from the security camera at his grandmother's sister's house. In the footage, it's late at night, and the camera is facing the yard in the house, but something eerie appears that night. You can clearly see a strange, ghostly figure moving slowly toward the house, and when the footage was enhanced, it revealed that it wasn't just one figure, there seemed to be more than one. According to him, his grandmother had passed away, and then a month later, her sister also died, but the footage was recorded just 1 week before the sister's passing. The family believes that among those ghostly figures could have been the grandmother's spirit coming to guide her sister into the afterlife. Others think it might have been different entities or another family member who had already passed appearing to collect her. Whether you believe it's spirits of loved ones or something else entirely, it's hard not to feel unsettled by the timing of it all. This photograph was taken back in the 90s. It seemed innocent enough at first. It shows a little boy sitting in the trunk of a truck, smiling toward his grandmother who stood nearby. It was meant to be a sweet memory, but when the family looked closer at the photo, they noticed something strange hiding in the background. Behind the grandmother, to the right side near the trees, there appears to be a figure. It looks vaguely humanoid, standing tall, almost blending in with the surroundings, but its shape is distinct enough to stand out once you notice it. The figure seems to be staring directly at them, giving a picture a chilling undertone. What makes this even creepier is what happens afterwards. The grandmother reportedly passed away only a few days later, and the family couldn't shake the connection. What were the odds that such a strange figure would appear in the photo right before her death? Some might say it was just a trick of the light or shadows. Others, though, believe it could have been something paranormal, maybe a death omen or even a figure that came for her spirit. What are your thoughts? A family had gathered together to celebrate their elderly grandmother's birthday. The atmosphere was warm and filled with laughter. She sat at the table with a cake in front of her while the camera captured the special moment. But when the footage was played back, the family noticed something strange. Out of nowhere, a figure zipped quickly past her so fast that it looked like a blur and vanished straight into the wall. The sight stunned everyone. The figure's small size and height made it resemble that of a child, which led some to wonder if it could be the spirit of a deceased grandchild or perhaps another child from the family's past. Others suggested it might not be a relative at all, but a mischievous spirit that appeared only to disturb their happy moment. What made it creepier was how casual the entity seemed to move, as if passing through the wall was natural. No one present had seen it in real time, it only showed up on camera. So, was this a beloved child spirit? A family in Texas captured this footage and shared it online. They were lightning flashes lighting up the night sky, and as they were filming, you can hear them talking about what they were seeing up there. Some said they saw the shape of a tornado, others claim it looked like a massive ship moving across the sky, and another said they could make out a giant creature. When the lightning lit up the clouds, a figure seemed to appear behind them. Now, people are debating, is this just pareidolia where our brains try to make familiar shapes out of random light and shadows, or was there really something there, watching from the sky?
Yeah, it looks like a... Oh,
What is that? Oi.
what the f***?
Oh, that's a tornado upside down?
That's what it looks like an upside-down tornado, dude.
Bus drivers see a lot on the job, but this story stands out. It was just an ordinary afternoon and the bus was rolling through town like usual. Suddenly, the bell rang, which was the signal that someone wanted to get off. The bus driver glanced into the rearview mirror, but the seats were empty. At first, he brushed it off, thinking it was just a fault. But just as the bus approached the next stop, he realized something unsettling. The stop was right by a cemetery. The driver slowed down uneasy and checked to confirm that there was still no one on the bus. He kept driving, but then it happened again. The bell rang a second time, as if an invisible passenger insisted on getting off at the cemetery. That was enough to shake him. Some people claim it was just a wiring malfunction, but others believe it wasn't random at all, and that a restless spirit had boarded the bus riding along until it reached the cemetery where it belonged.
Bueno, mira, lo filmo para que me crean. O sea, el colectivo está vacío. ¿Ven? No hay nadie. Y acá, mientras hago la espera, justo enfrente del cementerio, paso por acá y tocan el timbre. ¿Lo escucharon? No, es horrible.
A woman was at the hospital and decided to take a quick mirror selfie in the bathroom. She checked the stalls before and they were empty, but when she looked at the photograph later, her stomach dropped. Behind her, in the reflection, you can clearly see a figure peeking out from one of the stalls. The way it leans out just enough to look at her makes it even creepier. It's almost as though, although curious, it didn't want to be caught. She says she was alone, yet there's this stranger in the photo that shouldn't be there at all. Now, people online are divided. Some say it's proof of a ghost since hospitals are places where many lives begin and end. Others think it's staged, but looking at the picture, it feels like someone or something was there with her, watching from the shadows of the hospital stall. But what could it have been? A man was working alone in a shop, fully focused on what he was doing. Then, without warning, he jerked and grabbed at the hood of his hoodie. The reaction was instant, like he felt something tugging at him from behind. When you rewatch the footage closely, you can see it. The hood of his hoodie slowly shifted backwards, like just slightly, as if invisible fingers were pulling on it. At first, it's so subtle you might think you imagined it, but then you realize, no, it's really happening. And that's when he whips his head back to confront nothing. There's no one in the shop. He's completely alone. The man was visibly shaken because, well, how do you explain that? A draft of air doesn't just grab your hood. Static electricity doesn't just tug fabric like unseen hands. Some people believe this is solid proof of a spirit trying to make contact or play with him. Others say maybe it's just a trick of the hoodie slipping. But watching his reaction, you can tell he didn't think it was anything that he wanted to mess with. The next footage is said to have come from South Africa. A man was walking home very late one night when he noticed something peeking at him from behind a wall. Curious, he got closer, and that's when we see it. It was this red-faced creature hiding in the dark. The way its eyes glowed and its sharp features stood out. Some say it resembled the goblins you read about in folklore and textbooks. Of course, skeptics believe this is just a hoax or some clever editing, but others argue that the footage looks too raw and unsettling to be fake.
So what do you think? Was this man really being watched by a goblin? Maybe it was just some little guy that had been running too fast and, was showing on his face or something. Or suntan. Maybe it was a summer, he had a bad suntan. I don't know. Goblin? You tell me.
When you go snooping around an abandoned place, you should always expect to see something strange. Some men had gone exploring inside an abandoned building when they came across something that left them frozen. In the doorway ahead of them was a strange creature with glowing eyes, staring right at them. It wasn't standing on the ground like a normal person. Instead, it looked like this thing was either crawling along the walls and ceiling, or it was unbelievably tall, towering over the doorway. The door itself was said to be very tall, so if this was truly a figure, it couldn't have been of human height. And those glowing eyes gave the figure a terrifying, almost predatory look. So what do you think? Did they really capture something otherworldly, or was it just the shadow in that abandoned place? A man snapped a quick photo in his room, but when he looked at it later, he noticed something disturbing. In the darkness behind him, there was a shadowy figure, the shape of a person standing completely still. According to him, this isn't surprising. He's been experiencing strange paranormal things in his home for some time, like objects moving, cold spots, and the feeling of being watched. So to him, this photo was just more proof that something was living in his house with him. Skeptics might argue it was just a trick of the light, maybe a shadow cast by furniture or an overactive imagination. But when you look closely at the photo, the outline looks too human, too deliberate to brush off that easily. And if you think about it, the fact that he's had repeated experiences makes the image even more unsettling. One weird photo could be dismissed, but combined with everything else, it starts to feel like he's really not alone in that house. The next footage comes from a woman living in Iowa, and it has left a lot of people unsettled. It was late at night during an electrical storm, and she was standing by her window when she noticed something strange outside. Across the street in the yard of the house opposite her was a bright, faint figure that seemed to be standing there. It didn't stay constant. It appeared only when the lightning flashed, and then it would fade right back into the darkness. She filmed it, and when the lightning struck again, the figure appeared clearer, almost humanoid, glowing faintly before disappearing again. This repeated several times. Now, many viewers are convinced this wasn't just a ghost. Some believe it could have been a being from another dimension, briefly revealed because of the electrical energy in the storm. Others, more skeptical, think it's nothing more than a reflection caused by the brightness of the lightning bouncing off glass or wet surfaces. But the figure looked like it was watching, and the way it appeared and vanished with every flash is what makes people question whether this was just a coincidence or something we're not supposed to see. What do you think? We have this footage said to be from the Philippines, and it's been going viral online. It was filmed in a rural area where someone captured a very strange-looking creature sitting up in a tree. The body looked somewhat like that of an ape, but the face was completely different. It was red and grotesque, with glowing, beady red eyes staring down. It didn't look like any primate people were familiar with, which is why viewers were both shocked and, in some cases, terrified. Now, in the Philippines, there's an old legend about a being called the Capra. It's a giant, hairy, tree-dwelling creature that smokes cigars and watches humans from above. Some argue that what was filmed could be one of those mythical beings finally caught on camera, but not everyone is convinced. Others think it might just be some unknown primate, or even a brand new species we haven't yet discovered. So what do you think?
Sorry. Sometimes things come up that just make me laugh. Maybe it was like a tiny Hellboy or some red thing smoking a cigar. Jesus. It's funny, man.
A couple in Mexico shared a video that's been sparking debates online. They were driving late at night in a quiet highway when something in the sky caught their attention. At first, it just looks like distant lights in the darkness, but then they realized the lights weren't scattered randomly. They were arranged in a perfect circular pattern, almost like they were outlining the shape of a massive craft hovering silently in the night sky. The strange part is that the object itself couldn't be clearly seen. It was too dark, but the lights gave away its form. 3 glowing orbs positioned in a way that suggested they were attached to something huge and round. The couple immediately thought it was a UFO, and so did others. Of course, skeptics say it could have been drones, but what do you think? Well, they don't want to admit it, but at this point it feels like the aliens are already here. There's just too much proof surfacing every single time. This latest clip comes out of Yemen, and it's absolutely wild. In the video, you can see a missile being launched directly at a strange object in the sky, but the object, which looks like a sphere, doesn't even flinch. The missile strikes, and yet the UFO just keeps moving like nothing happened at all. Our weapons don't even register against it. But that's not all. Other people shared similar footage of what appears to be a dark, metallic sphere floating in the sky. From the Yemen footage, it almost looks like the military was trying to bring it down, but whatever this thing is, it was not pleased because they can't be harmed by missiles. Well, then what are we dealing with? At this point, would anyone really be surprised if the government suddenly announced that UFOs are real? For many people, these clips are already proof. So what do you think? Were those just military drones, or did we just watch humanity's weapons bounce off something not of this world? Scientists are constantly exceeding the boundaries of what we thought was impossible. And now they've taken a step that sounds like something straight out of science fiction. Using the strange rules of quantum physics, researchers managed to perform an experiment with a quantum computer that essentially reversed time for only 1 second. Now, this doesn't mean we can jump into a time machine just yet. What they did was manipulate particles in such a way that their state rewound as though time itself had briefly been turned back. But think about the implications if they can do this for a second. What's stopping future breakthroughs from stretching that moment longer or applying it on a larger scale? It's both exciting and unsettling because while science celebrates progress, what happens if the wrong people gain control over this kind of power? Is this the beginning of real-time travel technology or just a dangerous door being nudged open? Still on the things they don't want us to know, this next piece will make you question everything. A man shared what he claims to be an old US military map that was officially issued. Now, you'd expect such a document to mark the usual dangers, hostile territories, wildfire threats, and hazardous terrain, but something that doesn't add up. Listing among the deadly and dangerous creatures was none other than the Sasquatch. Yeah, the same Bigfoot that for decades officials and skeptics alike have dismissed as nothing more than a myth, folklore, or hoax. But if this is true, if the US military once classified Sasquatch as a legitimate, dangerous animal, then what do they know that we don't? It would explain the secrecy, the cover-ups, the stories buried or ridiculed, because even if one of these creatures is real, it changes the entire narrative. So why list it as a threat? Could it be that encounters really did happen and the military had to acknowledge them? Or is this just another case of disinformation? Three women had gone out one night to have some fun at a bar. At some point, one of them decided to snap a photo of her two friends. In the picture, we clearly see the two women posing together, but there's also something else that no one expected. Behind the woman on the right, there appears to be a third figure, but not a full body. Instead, it looks like the floating bald head of a man, staring directly toward the camera. The strange part is the head seems to be hanging in mid-air with no body attached. The women said there was no one standing behind them at the time, but they even made sure the background was clear before the shot was taken. Yet, when they looked at the photograph, the head was there. Now, looking closely, it doesn't resemble a trick of the light or a reflection. The head is in perfect focus alongside the two women. So what exactly are we looking at here? After dinner, the family was sitting together, chatting casually. The woman behind the camera was filming her father as they talked, when something strange caught everyone's attention. On the table sat a simple red paper cup. Slowly, it began sliding inch by inch across the surface with no one touching it. The man stopped mid-sentence and stared at the cup. The woman holding the camera even asked if he'd seen it too, when the whole room went silent. Then, out of nowhere, the cup flew violently off the table, slamming against the wall right beside the man. Everyone gasped, shocked at what they just witnessed. There was no visible explanation for how the cup moved, let alone hurled itself across the room. So, was this the work of a ghost?
The quarter pounder with some cheese fillet, a fish, a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a Happy Meal, McNuggets, tasty golden French fries.
Did you see that? Are you kidding me right now?
At first, every job needed a certain level of learning and training before you could qualify. You had to go to school, spend months or even years learning the craft, and only then could you master it. But since the whole AI boom, things have completely changed. Now people can do in seconds what others spent years trying to perfect. That's why there's a lot of buzz right now about OpenAI reportedly working on a fully AI-generated animation movie titled Critter. Unlike traditional animation, which usually takes about 3 years or more and requires a budget of $150 million or higher, this movie is said to be made in just 3 months with only $30 million. That's a massive difference that can create movies faster and cheaper than the old way. But will the quality actually hold up? Sure, AI can pump things out quickly, but can it deliver the same magic, the same depth, and the same emotional pull as human-driven animation? I guess we'll all just have to wait and see when it finally drops.
I guess we've already got a drink called the Virgin Mary. Maybe we could have Bethlehem beer.
A group of girls had gone on vacation in Mexico and booked a hotel to stay in. Like most trips, they took plenty of pictures to capture the fun. But when they looked back at the photographs, something didn't add up. In one particular picture, 3 of the girls were posing while the 4th snapped the photograph. Simple enough, except that when they reviewed it, there weren't just 3 people in the frame. Standing in the background near the bathroom doorway was a 4th figure. It looked like the shape of a woman, but her face, when zoomed in, was disturbingly grotesque. The expression wasn't human at all, and it gave off an unsettling presence, like something watching them. Now, people online are saying this could have been a witch lurking in the room with them. Others think it was edited. But the girls swear no one else was in the hotel room with them that night. So was it a witch, a ghost, or something far stranger? Scientists have recently uncovered something both fascinating and terrifying. It's a parasite nicknamed the vampire parasite. Why the name? Because unlike most parasites that drain their host until it dies, this one does the exact opposite. It actually keeps its host alive for years, making sure it survives just long enough to keep providing the nourishment it needs. But while the body keeps going, the host becomes something else entirely. Not truly alive, but not fully dead either. Almost like a zombie state, alive on the outside but hollowed out on the inside. So, is this just science at work, or are we getting a glimpse into a real-life zombie parasite? A family was having a quiet meal together when one of them decided to film the table. But what they captured on camera was anything but ordinary. As the video rolls, a small child walks past the table, except that the child's body looks transparent. You can clearly see the objects and light bleeding right through them. At first glance, it looks like solid proof of a ghostly apparition caught on camera, but let's pause for a closer look. The way the transparency blends with the surroundings seems almost too clean. Some argue this could be a case of video editing or layering effects deliberately made to look paranormal. So was this really a spirit child, or was it just a hoax? A man was driving down a lonely road late at night when suddenly something appeared. Both he and his passenger saw it, but only for a split second. His passenger even screamed, but as quickly as it appeared, it was gone. At first, they thought maybe their eyes were playing tricks on them, but later when the driver checked his dashcam footage, the truth came out. There it was, clear as day. A transparent figure standing at the edge of the opposite lane. Human-shaped, but faint, almost ghost-like. They had driven right past it. Now the question is, what exactly did they capture? Was it a ghost of a crash victim? We often hear stories of people passing away in hospitals and how their spirits linger afterwards, but this time, the hospital's own security footage seems to have caught something chilling. In the video, a group of nurses were at their desk watching the monitor connected to a patient's room, and on the screen, they suddenly noticed a dark figure rising from the patient's bed. It looked like a shadow drifting upward before moving out of sight. Startled, the nurses rushed into the patient's room to check what was happening, but by the time they got there, it was too late. The patient had passed away. Many believe what they saw was the soul leaving the body captured on camera. Skeptics argue it could be edited, but those who've seen the footage insist it was real. What do you think? The reason there's so much innovation when it comes to medicine and technology is simple. Humans cannot live forever. So people create drugs, devices, and treatments to stretch our lives just a little bit longer and to make our time here feel worthwhile. But what if I told you that all of this was a lie? Some information circulating claims that humans were never meant to die so soon. According to this theory, we could actually live for 20,000 years. Death, they say, is not a natural endpoint, but rather a flaw in our DNA, and if that flaw can be corrected, immortality could be possible. But this was just done out of speculation and a few calculations, but not proven facts yet. Now think about it. What if all the sickness, aging, and eventual death we accept as normal is simply a glitch in our genetic code? And what if there are people out there who already know this? If that's true, then the real question becomes, who decides to get to live forever? Have you heard of the Skull Rock in Lake Superior? As the name suggests, this massive rock formation looks eerily like a human skull. You can see the eye sockets, the nose, and even the contour of the jaw. It genuinely resembles a skull that's been carved and left to sit in the waters. Now, geologists will quickly tell you that erosion, waves, and weather over thousands of years can create shapes like this. Nature is powerful and can sculpt almost anything. But for a rock to look this much like a human skull, well, that's what has people talking. Local legends and conspiracy theories say it's not just a coincidence, but a remnant of something ancient. There are stories of giant humans who lived long before modern civilization, and Skull Rock is sometimes pointed to as possible evidence of them. Could it be the fossilized remains of a colossal being, or maybe even an intentional carving left behind by an ancient culture whose history has been erased? On the other hand, skeptics argue it's simply pareidolia. Just like seeing shapes in clouds, people are seeing a skull in a rock. What do you think? Do you believe in legends? What about ones about the legendary Bigfoot? Well, if you don't, perhaps this might challenge you, or not. Take a look. In this footage, we're introduced to not one, but two ginormous creatures that are seemingly exploring the woods. They have obviously not noticed that they're being filmed, but looking at them, we can't help but suspect that they might be Bigfoots. According to the uploader, this isn't the first time he's spotted these creatures. The area is a rumored hotspot for Bigfoots, and looking at their sizes, the gait, the fur, and all other features, I can see why even the paranormal community believes it's legit. But what about you? Do you believe these could really be Bigfoots? Let us know in the comment section. Imagine just taking a walk to clear your head one night when you run into this sight. Yes, that's a woman draped in a flowing white robe with her hair cascading like a waterfall. As if the sight is not ghostly enough, you can tell that she's mysteriously hovering above the trees. It's a sight that defies the laws of nature, simultaneously invoking fear and fascination. The air becomes charged with an otherworldly presence as she floats serenely, seemingly detached from the earthly realm. Who is she? A spirit? A ghost? Or perhaps a witch? Each of these is a possibility, making the whole situation not just mysterious, but complex and leaving the observer teetering between the known and the unknown. Graveyards are typically undisturbed places where the dead are laid to rest in peace. However, someone shared this disturbing footage showing a graveyard with numerous graves that have holes in them, as if someone had intentionally dug them up. To make it even more unsettling, these holes were filled with water. Such sights in a graveyard can be quite disturbing and are often seen as unholy or disrespectful. The question arises, who could have done this? Grave diggers, perhaps, or is there another explanation? One commenter suggested that this footage was taken at a Louisiana graveyard after Hurricane Katrina. Considering the devastation caused by Hurricane Katrina, this explanation seems plausible. The severe flooding and high water levels from the hurricane could have caused significant disruption to the graves, leading to the appearance of water-filled holes. The question now is this true, or is that a cover-up for something rather ominous happening elsewhere? Imagine you were out there taking a stroll when all of a sudden you see this guy from a distance. What would be the first thing in your mind? Well, for me, I'd seen snake. But in my thoughts, of course. The last thing I or anyone should want is to startle a snake in the midst of greens when it can easily manipulate its way around, hiding in the foliage and possibly attack. The one recording handled himself quite well, which allowed him to record and take a good picture, a video of the creature. Looking at it again, it appears to have more features than you would associate with a snake. When I look at this, what comes to mind are the Chinese depictions of dragons. Do you think this creature could be ancient or have something to do with those ancient and powerful beings? Or do you think this is a hoax and someone is trying to get their 5 minutes of fame? Whatever your thoughts are, please share them in the comments section. Hold onto your fishing rods, folks, as we cast our line into the riveting tale of a father-son fishing expedition turned heart-pounding encounter. The man went fishing with his little boy at a river. He handed the fishing rod to the boy while he filmed the proud moment when his son caught his first fish. As the boy was pulling his catch to the land, something unexpected happened. A crocodile emerged out of nowhere in pursuit of the boy's fish. The father acted quickly to ensure the safety of his son, rushing to pick him up and avoid any potential harm from the reptile. Unfortunately, the crocodile managed to steal the fish, but they at least got to keep their limbs. It's a wild and sad case, but we can't exactly call the cops on this guy. If you want to go fishing with your kids, stay away from dangerous waters. Now, what do we have here? A pillar of clouds from the sky? The clouds, usually ephemeral and whimsically shaped, have taken on an extraordinary form, ascending majestically into the atmosphere like an otherworldly tower. The sky, once a canvas for the ever-shifting dance of clouds, now hosts this vertical anomaly, prompting questions about the atmospheric forces at play. As observers gaze upward, speculation and curiosity intertwine. Could this be a manifestation of meteorological rarity, an intricate interplay of air currents and moisture resulting in a captivating vertical display, or does it harbor a more mysterious origin, evoking the fantastical realms of the unknown? In Turkey, a group of guys embarked on an evening exploration adventure.
Hocam bu ne ya? Ana, oğlum. Hocam.
As they approached a particular cave, their attention was drawn to something between the rocks. To their shock, they discovered a bug-eyed alien creature lurking in the shadows. The alien shifted its gaze toward the explorers, prompting an immediate and instinctive response from the once bold adventurers. Fueled by a blend of fear and amazement, the group quickly left the cave, leaving behind a mysterious encounter engraved in their memories. The unplanned meeting with an otherworldly entity added an unforeseen turn to their cave exploration, raising questions and speculations about the nature of the creature they had seen. I know this next one might shock some of you, but it's real. Believe me when I tell you that there are still tribes like this around the globe which still live in isolation. No TV, no internet, no radio, and no modern healthcare. They still do things the old way and are comfortable. From time to time, though, we do spy on them. What do you think goes through their heads when they see our devices? Personally, I think they assume the sky gods are watching over them. What say you? In this footage circulating the internet, the scene unfolds as an alien-like creature lies on a table, surrounded by scrubbed-in doctors engaging in what appears to be an autopsy. The gravity of the moment prompts a crucial question. Is this a genuine encounter with an otherworldly being or an elaborate hoax designed to captivate the imagination? Yet, as with many cryptic encounters, the authenticity of this footage is shrouded in uncertainty. The implications of such an event, if real, could be a monumental revelation that we're not alone in the universe. Skepticism, however, prevails as the mystery surrounding UFO sightings, abductions, and purported alien interactions persists. What's your say on the matter? A sea adventure meant for joy and exploration takes a perilous turn as tourists embark on a boat trip to the picturesque Blue Lagoon in Tanzania. The journey, initially filled with excitement, quickly transforms into a harrowing experience when the boat begins to flood midway. Caught in the unfolding drama, passengers find themselves clinging to the pillars of the boat in a desperate bid for safety. The relentless influx of water becomes an ominous threat, prompting a collective effort to navigate the treacherous situation. Outside the boat, an onlooker captures the unfolding ordeal, providing a gripping visual narrative of the sinking vessel. The juxtaposition of the stunning ocean scenery and the imminent danger emphasizes the paradox of nature, its breathtaking beauty and formidable unpredictability.
I never thought I would see these lights.
A homeowner heard some noise in his backyard and he went to check it out. This is what he saw: a strange goat-like creature standing on a wooden chair. As the homeowner got closer, the creature displayed an unnaturally mechanical movement, lifting its long neck from a downward gaze. The strange and seemingly calculated response made the homeowner retreat as fast as he could from the scene. Now, I know this thing looks like an alpaca, but that's definitely not how they behave. The occurrence has a creepy vibe similar to the mysterious and unsettling stories connected to mythical beings like skinwalkers. Whether it's just a peculiar animal or something more otherworldly, the video has left many who saw it feeling uneasy. What do you make of it? A group of men discovered this mysterious creature washed ashore on the sandy beach. Does it not remind you of a mythical creature from folklore, say, the Mermaid? It's definitely a combination of a human upper torso seamlessly transitioning into a fish's tail. The creature was face down and its tail was tangled in some ropes. One of the men approached to help free the creature from the tangled ropes, but the situation took a startling turn when the creature hissed in response, prompting the man to retreat. I don't know what he was expecting. What I do know, however, is that I'm never going near anything that looks remotely like that. Mermaids are mystical creatures that are believed to inhabit our waters, but footage like this makes me wonder if there's a point to calling them mystical anymore with the constant sightings being recorded. Unless, of course, this is a fake. What do you guys think? This footage captured a peculiar and beautiful sight as a mysterious light embarked on a mesmerizing journey along the horizon. This luminous apparition, adorned with an otherworldly glow, moved with grace and agility, its form shifting and morphing as if guided by an unseen force. As it moved swiftly, the contours of its shape transformed, creating an ever-changing spectacle that captured the imagination. Such sightings often evoke a sense of wonder and curiosity. The mysterious nature of the dancing light invites contemplation. Could it be a celestial phenomenon, a natural occurrence with a scientific explanation, or does it perhaps belong to the realm of the unexplained? Share your thoughts in the comments section. If you've made it this far, could you please hit the like button, subscribe, and even drop a comment if you haven't already? It goes a long way to make it possible to create more videos for you. Thank you for doing so. Moving back to the day's episode. In this next trail cam footage, we're presented with another mysterious situation. Here we have a deer minding its own business in the woods when something strange happens. A ghostly figure appears from the darkness and approaches the deer. The apparition moved very fast and looked like smoke. As soon as it gets closer to the deer, it vanishes. Now I know we have people who would say it was probably just a fog, but did you notice the deer's ear twitch as it turned its head toward the direction the figure came from? Fog or not, that deer sensed something uncanny in the air. A group of friends decided to take a nighttime swim, eager for a refreshing adventure under the moonlit sky, because nothing could go wrong. Their excitement, however, quickly turned to dread as they approached the water's edge. There, illuminated by the faint light of the moon, was a bizarre creature. It had a smooth, small head perched on a long neck and a fish-like tail that flicked ominously in the water. The sight was so unsettling that the friends froze, their night of fun abruptly turning into a scene from a horror movie. When they shared their experience, opinions were sharply divided. Some viewers shrugged it off, insisting it was nothing more than a seal common in those waters. However, others speculated wildly and were convinced that the friends had encountered a genuine sea monster, a creature of legend and mystery lurking beneath the waves. What do you think it was? During an eclipse, some observers captured a truly bizarre scene in the sky. A flaming orb was flying through the sky, and atop this orb stood a dark, humanoid figure. I've seen a lot of strange things, but this one is truly otherworldly. What could this flaming orb be, and who or what could the figure standing on it be? This sighting raises numerous intriguing questions. The flaming orb could potentially be explained by natural phenomenon such as a rare atmospheric condition or a meteor. Sometimes natural events can take on unexpected appearances, especially when viewed through the unique lighting conditions of an eclipse. However, the presence of a dark humanoid figure standing atop the orb complicates this explanation. Personally speaking, I don't know what to make of it. Can you? Next, we have this alleged Bigfoot dashcam capture, and yes, I used the word alleged. Watch, and you may just see why. Do you see it? In the footage, we see a faint but very present figure moving in the distance as the vehicle is driving towards it. Within a few seconds, he disappears into the foliage. The individual driving is very convinced it's a Bigfoot and states his dashcam captured it. My problem with this is dashcams don't move around as they are stationary, unless of course he's using some modern type of equipment. Looking at the quality of the footage though, I can say I highly doubt that. What do you think? Venture into the mysterious realms of the unknown as we delve into an intriguing discovery by a Bigfoot research center. At first glance, the image reveals a tiny body reminiscent of a human baby, yet covered in a coat of brown fur that adds an uncanny twist to its appearance. The creature appears lifeless, leading all who saw it to come up with theories of what it might actually be. Skeptics lean toward the notion of it being a fabricated creation, suggesting that what they are seeing in the image is a mere human-made prototype, a cleverly crafted creation that mimics the elusive figure of a Bigfoot. The Paranormal Society, however, believes this is real, and I must say I'm with them on this one. What do you think about it? Some archaeologists recently unearthed something truly intriguing, a mummified head of what appears to be an alien-looking creature. This head is elongated and has an almost otherworldly appearance, as if it was severed from its body. For years, there have been countless stories and theories about the existence of aliens. While details about this discovery are still scarce, it raises a tantalizing question. Could this be the proof of alien life we've all been waiting for? This discovery could potentially revolutionize our understanding of extraterrestrial life. Is it a relic from a long-forgotten civilization that had contact with beings from another world, or perhaps a genetic anomaly from an ancient human? Julius isn't sure about this one and wants to look into it. That's a first because he normally just tosses these out. Fingers crossed, let's see what he makes out of this. Now, speaking of serpents, what are we looking at here? Imagine a snake, but not just any snake, a peculiar one with white hair standing straight up on its head. It's almost as though it were a character from the Trolls cartoon. This unusual sight leaves us with so many questions. What kind of snake could this be? Is this some sort of bizarre mutation, or has this snake found a way to visit a salon? In reality, some snakes can indeed have strange and unique features due to genetic anomalies or environmental factors. However, this particular snake looks so outlandish that it seems like it's straight out of a fantasy world. There's a possibility that someone planted the hair on its head, a great possibility at that. But then again, could this be a rare species we've never seen before, or one that nature has decided to give a quirky makeover to? Well, let me hear your thoughts. In this clip from Mexico, security cameras captured something unusual moving across the night sky. Take a look. Notice the glowing rectangular-shaped object, leaving a luminous trail as it zips through the air. It's definitely strange, and it has left many puzzled. Some speculate it could be alien technology, while others suggest it might be an entity rather than a man-made craft. While these theories are understandable, this sighting stands out from typical UFO encounters. Unlike the familiar disc-shaped objects, this one is rectangular, so could it be a man-made craft like a rocket launch? Not quite. The object made a sharp turn mid-flight, something unusual for a rocket, which usually follows a straight trajectory. If it's not a rocket or any conventional aircraft, what could this glowing object be? Share your thoughts. Now let's go back to all things mysterious and paranormal. This next clip features some boat riders who were out enjoying a day on the Saskatchewan River when they spotted something strange, a scene that left them with more questions than answers. A white seaplane was calmly floating in the water, minding its own business, when suddenly an all-black helicopter appeared. It flew in low, just above the water, and hovered right near the seaplane, almost as if there was some sort of interaction happening. The helicopter eventually made its way to land, touched down, and a man stepped out. Just moments later, the seaplane started to move, floating away from the scene. Now, why would a black helicopter fly so low to the water near a seaplane, and why did the plane leave as soon as the man got out? It feels oddly coordinated, almost secretive. The lack of communication or visible reason for the encounter gives off some seriously sketchy vibes. Could this have been some covert operation, or maybe even an exchange of some kind? It's hard to say, but whatever it was, it seemed off. What do you think was going on here? This creepy-looking skeleton was found on a beach. It had the upper part of a human and the lower part of a fish. However, the skull had these horns around it resembling a crown. It also had huge yellow teeth still stuck in the bones of its jaws. This looks so creepy. But could this be a creature that once navigated the ocean depths, a mythical being that found its way to the shore? Or is it a meticulously crafted fabrication, a haunting stunt to bewilder and captivate those who stumble upon its skeletal form? Until more information emerges, we can only speculate, but do indulge us. What do you see when you look?
So this is a store in Paris. This is a man's store in Paris. And this is a Mannequin.
Paris, after all, we're in the month of love. Do you know this person? Pause and take a closer look. Do you know who? I know you don't. Even if you think you do, it's a case of mistaken identity. Do you know how I know? Because what you're looking at is a mannequin. Yup, you heard that right. We're actually capable of this now. Would you want one of these, or does it give you the heebie-jeebies?
Moving on, we visit Venezuela for our next clip. Just in case it was not clear already, what you are seeing is a bird sitting on a power line. This was allegedly recorded by a lady who looked out of her window and saw the unusual-looking bird right outside her home. The low quality of the footage coupled with the white look gives the bird a pre-rendered look, which is basically what
3D objects look like digitally before they're worked on and perfected. She believes it's either a bruja or brujo. For those not familiar with the term, a bruja, which is female, or brujo, which is male, is a Spanish term for a witch or sorcerer, traditionally found in Latin America and Spanish cultures. These figures are believed to possess supernatural powers, often associated with magic, healing, or spiritual practices. Once she uploaded the clip, opinions were divided. Some shared similar experiences, whereas others called her out for attempting to deceive them. I have my own reservations about this, but I would love to hear your opinions. What do you think is going on here? Back in 1971, a group of friends ventured into the Sierra Nevada mountains for a camping trip. While they were out there, they captured some truly eerie sounds that have since become known as the Sierra Sounds or Sierra Tapes. Take a listen. These recordings have fascinated researchers and enthusiasts alike for decades, and many believe they are the legitimate vocalizations of Bigfoot. The sounds are a mix of whoops, growls, and a strange chattering that seems too complex to be from any known animal in the area. Skeptics, of course, argue that the tapes could have been fabricated or may simply be misidentified wildlife, but for those who studied them, the tone, pitch, and patterns of the sound suggest something far more mysterious. Could these really be the elusive Bigfoot trying to communicate?
Look at this.
In this unsettling video recorded by a trail camera, a man is seen in the dark woods standing beside a tree. Suddenly, he starts displaying strange and contorted movements. Looking upwards, pushing his chest out, bending backwards and twisting his arms uncomfortably, all the while emitting moans of distress. The peculiar behavior of the man prompts inquiries into potential explanations for his actions. Viewers may ponder whether he is undergoing some kind of possession, encountering a supernatural force, or even undergoing a transformation into a creature like a skinwalker.
Okay, so I was walking my dog and I seen these little black spots on the ground.
In an intriguing yet puzzling turn of events, a woman captured a rather perplexing scene on video. Bees inexplicably falling from the sky onto the ground.
All of these are bumblebees. And it's like they're falling out the sky. I literally looked up and then there was one falling out the sky. I don't see any more, but...
To unravel the mystery, we can explore different factors. One possibility is that the bees were affected by a pesticide or chemical substance in the environment, leading to their disorientation or death. Another factor to consider is adverse weather conditions such as extreme temperatures or sudden changes in atmospheric pressure, which could impact the behavior and well-being of the bees. While these sound logical, Aaron believes there's something mystical going on here. He believes it's a sign of an omen. While I try to stay away from Aaron's hypothesis most often, I can't help but wonder if he's onto something here. What about you? We hear a lot of conspiracies surrounding ancient technology, with many speculating that advanced tech existed centuries ago. Over time, several artifacts have surfaced that seem to support these claims. One of the more mysterious discoveries happened years ago in Mexico, when deep-sea researchers stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. While exploring an underwater cave system in the ocean, they came across a massive cave with hundreds of openings. Inside one of these caves, they discovered a human skull. Curious, they retrieved the skull and handed it over to experts for examination. The experts expected many things, but finding a microchip embedded in something that ancient was not one of them. Although this discovery wasn't elaborated on further, many believe that the chip is evidence of some kind of advanced technology that was possibly used by people in the distant past. Could this be proof that ancient civilizations were far more advanced than we've ever imagined? A chunk of the internet believes so. Others also think such beliefs are ludicrous, to say the least. What do you think? While you share your thoughts on that one, we travel back in time to Northern California on New Year's Day 2020, where this unusual photo was taken. Imagine you're hiking through the remote, towering peaks of Northern California on New Year's Day 2020. The air is crisp, the sky expansive, and the isolation of the trail is almost palpable. Then, out of the corner of your eye, you catch sight of something strange. A tall, dark figure looming just over the ridgeline. That's exactly what happened to the lady who captured and shared this image online. Naturally, this has stirred up quite the debate online, with everyone chipping in their thoughts and feelings. Some in the community analyzed the image and were struck by the size of the figure. By comparing its height to the surrounding geography, they estimated it to be around 7 to 8 feet tall, which makes it a massive creature by any standard. Zooming in makes the image even more interesting. The figure appears to have distinct facial features, including a conical head, which is a characteristic often associated with Sasquatch sightings. Some skeptics suggest it could just be a black bear with its posture and movement distorted by the camera angle. But the silhouette, when scrutinized, seems to align more with the descriptions of a Sasquatch than a bear. Aaron believes it's more Sasquatch than bear, whereas Julius thinks there's not much to go on with considering the quality of the image. Naturally, other team members who were also Bigfoot enthusiasts felt this is a good capture of the big guy. I would sit on the fence for this one, but I've laid out the facts and I'm curious to know what you think. Care to share in the comments section. Summer comes with a lot of heat, so people easily get dehydrated. Because of this, they often go for juicy fruits, especially watermelons. Due to the high demand, some sellers resort to unethical practices. They inject substances called adulterants into the watermelons to make them look redder and riper and last longer on the shelves. However, not everyone does this, so how can you identify the good ones? Here's what you do. First, check for any white dust on the watermelon. This could be a substance used to artificially ripen the fruit. Next, choose watermelons with yellow patches on them. These patches indicate that the fruit ripened naturally on the ground and are likely to be sweeter. Watermelons with webbed markings are also a good choice. These markings are a sign of natural pollination and often result in better tasting fruit. Lastly, when you cut through the watermelon, run a white tissue over the flesh. If the tissue gets stained red, it's a sign of artificial color enhancement. I hope these tips help you pick the best watermelons for the hot summer. Stay hydrated and enjoy your fruit. Now, what are we looking at here? A strange blob-like entity just crawling on the floor. It resembles underdeveloped chicken eggs stuck together and slithering around, creating a very unsettling sight. What could this be? Is it some sort of unknown creature or just a product of CGI trickery? The way it moves is eerily organic, but in this age of advanced special effects, it's hard to determine the authenticity of such footage. Instead of passing judgment on this, perhaps I should leave it to you guys. What do you see? An alien life form, a mutated organism, or simply a well-crafted digital illusion? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section.
When my firework went up in the sky, this is what I seen.
Did you catch that? No? Well, watch it again. Tell me you saw the face the moment the firework went off. That's definitely not normal and has since caused this clip to go viral. The one who originally recorded this felt he was seeing things, so he uploaded it onto one of our paranormal platforms, soliciting views and opinions from the members of the platform. Many who saw the clip believed that this could be evidence that the gods are up there watching down on us even if we don't see it. There were some who thought that the explanation made no sense and that this had to be a case of pareidolia. For those unfamiliar with the term, pareidolia is a psychological phenomenon where people perceive familiar patterns such as faces, animals, or objects in random or unrelated stimuli. It's a tendency for the brain to interpret vague or abstract forms as recognizable shapes. For example, seeing a face in the clouds, a human figure in a rock formation, or a shape resembling an animal in tree bark are all instances of pareidolia. This occurs because the human brain is wired to identify patterns for survival, especially faces, making it common and natural cognitive response. I also believe that's what could be going on here. But perhaps that's just me. What do you guys think?
When my firework went up in the sky, this is what I seen.
After sharing your thoughts on that, you might want to take a look at this one too. This was uploaded by a homeowner who was reviewing her security cam footage after a large shadow passed by her home. Initially, she thought she was seeing things, so she rushed to her cam to review, and there it was in the recording. But what exactly was she looking at? She claims no large bird or plane had flown by, yet the shadow was pronounced. She suggested it might be a shadow creature, and some in the community agreed with her. Some were, however, skeptical. They felt the clip might have been digitally manipulated. Given the rise in AI and other digital tools, you can't really blame them for thinking so. But you've seen the clip as well. What do you think we're dealing with here? Next, take a look at this peculiar footage. The video captures a tree in an extraordinary moment with water flowing from it. While the sight might evoke a sense of wonder, it also sparks curiosity about the underlying mechanisms at play. Some observers speculate that someone may have ingeniously connected a hose to the tree, creating a whimsical illusion of a water tree. This could be a human-made installation or a prank to perplex onlookers. On the other hand, there is another theory proposing that the tree might be situated on top of a natural underground spring or fountain. In such cases, the roots of the tree could tap into an underground water source, leading to water flowing out through the trunk.
It's like a bolt of lightning hit right there. You guys, look at this sweet crack that we found in the ice.
One night after it snowed, a man and his family came across a strange sight frozen in the ice. The pattern looked like black veins, like scenes from the popular show Stranger Things. The mysterious appearance sparked questions and thoughts among those who saw it. People had different ideas to explain this puzzling event. Some wondered if a lightning bolt could have created such detailed patterns, while others thought about the possibility of a unique parasite or organism causing the strange formation. With no clear answer, the lack of explanation made the discovery even more intriguing. Aaron insists it's a symbiote, but come on. When you're in the process of buying a house or property, it's always a good idea to dig into its history. Some people unknowingly purchase homes with strange pasts, sometimes even haunted ones, and it rarely ends well for them. Take this couple, for example. They just moved into a new home and almost immediately they started experiencing odd things. One night, the wife woke up to the sound of a loud clanking noise. The metal fence outside had somehow opened and the metal gates were banging against each other. Curious and a little freaked out, she decided to go outside and check, but as soon as she stepped out, the noise stopped. What she saw next was even more unsettling. A strange glowing orb was hovering above the metal fence. It wasn't a light from a street lamp or a reflection. This was something else entirely. She hurried back inside to grab a flashlight, but by the time she returned, the orb had vanished. Would you be able to stay in a house with something like that happening?
Oh, blessed Jesus, look at that. How many?
The skepticism doesn't get better with our next clip, though. You know what? Well, take a look for yourself. You understand now, right? The clip starts off showing us the sun, and a few seconds in, we notice that there's a man behind it. The individuals in the clip are heard saying that God is good, attributing the sighting to an angel or representative of God. A number of religious folks who saw this believed it was the real deal, whereas non-religious folks stated that this had to be fake. Others argued that this had to be Project Bluebeam in play and that the government was still testing things out and playing with the minds of citizens. There were other theories which included this being a hologram. In the midst of all these theories, I saw a comment that caught my attention. Despite everyone's attempt to be logical, I know that deep down most individuals wished all of these things were truly real. What do you think, though? Could this be the real deal or just another digital manipulation?
Oh, blessed Jesus, look at that. How many?
Now let's dive into this next piece of footage. It looks similar to the first, but on a much larger scale. This video was retrieved from the security camera of a classified institution. Don't look at me like that. That's all the information we received. The The footage shows a bizarre creature casually walking through a sliding door and then crawling away. That's if I'm allowed to describe its movement like that. Have you ever seen Stranger Things, especially the scene where people and rats come together to form a strange blob-like entity? Well, that's exactly what this reminds me of. I'm not sure if this is indeed some sort of giant creature prowling in the night, or if it's just another well-crafted hoax. The sheer size and the way it moves are unsettling, to say the least. Julius believes it's a CGI creation, whilst Aaron thinks it's possibly real. I've chosen to stay on the fence on this because I'm not ready to be dragged into a debate, but what do you guys think? A subscriber sent us some truly intriguing footage. While exploring the woods, they stumbled upon a bizarre sight nestled among the trees, a triangular-shaped structure with a silhouette of something sitting inside. The footage is pretty shaky, making it hard to make out the details. The dim light filtering through the canopy adds an eerie atmosphere, amplifying the sense of mystery. Despite the unclear visuals, the center is convinced that what they captured was none other than Bigfoot sitting calmly within this strange structure. The structure looks like a makeshift shelter built by an intelligent being, perhaps even Bigfoot itself, or it could be that the silhouette is a trick of the light or a more mundane animal like a bear. No, who knows? But share your thoughts on what you think this could be. Next up, we've got this clip from an elderly lady known as Vicky. Enjoy.
It's back. It keeps peeking in here on me. Oh my goodness gracious, what the hell? Ain't nobody in the other room.
The clip starts off with a camera pointed at the door. While the door certainly does look interesting with its everyday design and paint job, that's not where we're supposed to be focusing on. If we look beyond the door and the curtain behind, you'll notice that there is a face. Seen it? Now, does that look like anything you've seen? No? Well, for Becky, this isn't the first time that she's seen it. The door allegedly leads to an empty room with no pets or kids, and that's why she's freaking out. In the clip, she can be heard saying her gun is not with her, which points to the fact that she feels threatened and unsafe, necessitating the need to have a gun as an assurance or a means of self-defense. Naturally, this clip sparked a lot of controversy online, with different individuals sharing their opinions. Some thought it was a ghost, whereas others subscribed to the possibility of it being a mountain lion. Personally, I don't see a mountain lion, but then again, I can't really make out anything in the clip. What about you guys? What do you see?
It's back. It keeps peeking in here on me. Oh my goodness gracious, what the hell? Ain't nobody in the other room.
Japan is known for some of the most chilling and haunting urban legends, and this story is no exception. A group of young Japanese students found themselves caught in an eerie situation when they ventured into a restroom. As they explored the stalls, strange noises began to echo from one of them, sending chills down their spines. One of the students, filled with curiosity but clearly scared, decided to stand on the toilet in the adjacent stall to peek into the one that was causing all the unease. What happened next made them all scream and flee, but the camera kept rolling. After gathering their courage, they decided to open the mysterious stall. The girl, holding the camera, cautiously approached, pointing the lens inside. At first it seemed empty, but then as the camera panned back, there it was. A pale-faced girl lurking in the corner of the stall, her presence so sudden and unnerving that it sent the students running for their lives. Who could this girl have been? Could it be one of Japan's many ghostly legends, like Hanako-san, the spirit of a young girl rumored to haunt school bathrooms? Or was this some real-life person caught on camera? This man was prying open a huge rock and discovered something strange inside. There were these spiral shapes on both ends of the broken pieces. When I checked the comments, several people mentioned that this could be fossilized ammonite. Ammonites are ancient marine creatures that lived millions of years ago, and their spiral shells have been preserved in rocks. Finding one of these fossils is like holding a piece of prehistoric history in your hands. What do you think of this find? Wouldn't it be amazing to come across something so ancient and mysterious? A homeowner set up a camera in their washroom one night, and when they retrieved the footage, they found something incredible. An alligator, or at least a reptilian creature close to it, standing on the closed toilet seat. Now, I don't know where this person lives or the situation of their house, but how in the world does a creature like that get into their house and into the washroom? It's pretty wild when you think about it. Some skeptics are suggesting that this might be CGI, and honestly, in this age of digital manipulation, that's a fair consideration. But let's entertain the possibility that it's real for a moment. Alligators are known to turn up in unexpected places, especially in areas where they are common, like the southern United States. They can be surprisingly adept at getting into tight spots. They might come up through plumbing if they find their way into the sewer system, although that's pretty rare and more of an urban legend. But if we set aside the CGI theory, there are a few ways an alligator might end up in a bathroom. One possibility is that it entered the house through an open door or window and made its way to the washroom. Another more adventurous idea is that it might have been someone's unusual pet that got loose. A man had set up a trail camera deep in the woods, hoping to catch something interesting on film. And he did. Take a look for yourself. At first glance, it does look like a face partially hidden, with distinct facial features lurking in the shadows of the tree. But upon closer inspection, I'm not entirely convinced it's a Bigfoot. Yes, there are the typical traits associated with Bigfoot sightings, like a large, shadowy figure and a face that seems somewhat human yet beastly. But something about it feels off. The proportions and clarity of the face might point to a different cryptid or even a misinterpretation of shadows or natural elements in the woods. What if it's not Bigfoot, but another elusive creature we haven't fully identified yet? After many years of calling, some of us deluded, some members of the scientific community have started to take the subject of aliens seriously. Researchers from Harvard recently stated that if aliens exist, then they may already be living among us. Sounds crazy coming from them, but I guess the evidence is becoming hard to deny. The researchers further stated that if there's any truth to the UFO sightings we have been seeing, the logical explanation would be that these aliens are moving around in our atmosphere in stealth mode with the occasional lapse. If you thought aliens were the only thing these researchers spoke about, think again. They also added that there's the possibility of an underground civilization that you and I are not aware of. The funny thing is, we've been speculating and talking about this possibility for years. The big question now is, should the paranormal community consider this a win, or rather, should we be worried and scared that scientists are subtly acknowledging these things? Is that a sign of impending doom? You guys share your thoughts in the comments section. A resident in St. Augustine, Florida, recently set up a security camera in his kitchen after experiencing some unusual occurrences that piqued his curiosity. However, what he recorded was something entirely unexpected. In the footage, a glowing orb-like object can be seen floating around the room. The object maneuvers fluidly above the kitchen, almost as if it's searching for something. At one point in the video, the orb shrinks in size and ascends toward the ceiling. The resident couldn't identify what he'd captured on camera as it didn't resemble any typical object. What truly puzzled him was the nature of the entity. Was it an alien presence, a ghostly figure, or something else entirely? Speaking of authentic clips, take a look at this one. And yes, that's a dark being with an inverted back moving across someone's lawn. The surprise, however, is that it doesn't remain in that form for long. Instead, it turns into a human being with clothes on. It's not every day your security cam captures something like this, but when it does, you make sure to get to the bottom of it, and that's exactly why the owner of the cam uploaded this online. Many who saw it were convinced we were dealing with a skinwalker. Given the unnatural characteristics the creature possesses, it's natural for people to think that. There are also skeptical ones like Julius who think it's doctored footage but were unable to run any analysis to confirm. If you were to go on a hunch, which of these options would you say it is? Have you heard of the plane of jars? This mysterious site is located in central Laos, specifically on the Zangang Plateau. Scattered across the landscape are massive stone jars, thousands of them ranging in size, some towering up to 10 feet tall and weighing several tons. Now, what makes these jars so fascinating is that no one really knows why they're there. Some researchers believe they were part of an ancient burial practice, as human remains have been discovered nearby. Others think they could have been used to store food, water, or even alcohol. There's even a local legend that suggests giants created these jars to brew rice wine. Despite numerous studies, the true purpose of these jars remains a mystery. Dating back to the Iron Age, somewhere around 500 BCE to 500 CE, the plane of jars continues to baffle both archaeologists and visitors alike. Trail cameras have become a crucial tool in capturing rare glimpses of cryptids, those elusive, often mysterious creatures that roam the wild. In this particular footage, we see something truly eerie. In the dead of night, a large figure emerges from behind the trees and moves slowly across the scene. While it's hard to make out clear details due to the distance, the creature appears to be much taller than the trees nearby, giving it a towering, almost shadowy presence. What stands out is its slow, deliberate movement and the fact that it's walking on two legs. The way it glides through the darkness, barely making a sound, adds to its unsettling nature. The footage doesn't provide a clear enough view to identify it, but its size and the bipedal motion suggest it could be more than just an animal, perhaps a cryptid yet to be documented. Julius thinks it's AI, but what do you also think?
You need to understand that the music that you listen to will either consciously or unconsciously program your mind. There's a reason why people like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and Kanye West do not let their children listen to rap music.
You know that saying, the eyes are the window to the soul. Well, maybe we need to take that statement a tad more serious than we do and add sound too. Because if you really think about it, what we hear and consume daily might be affecting us even more than we realize. We take in a lot of information and most of it comes from what we listen to. Music is a huge part of human entertainment, but have you ever stopped to think about what we're really feeding our minds? Have you ever wondered if it's shaping our worldviews and experiences? Take rap music, for example. It's one of the most popular and influential genres out there, but it's also known for having some of the most violent and negative themes. A lot of mainstream rap is centered around drugs, money, crime, and other destructive behaviors. But here's where it gets deeper. Music is frequency. Some is vibration. And rap music is often said to operate at a low frequency, meaning it could be affecting our energy and mindset more than we think. And if you follow conspiracy theories, you've probably heard the idea that Hollywood and the music industry use music as a tool to program and control people. It's not something we think about, but perhaps it's something we should be actively considering. This guy, and most likely everyone else who has mentioned this theory at some point in time, might be right.
Because this music is filled with horrible subliminal messaging, low vibrational frequencies, and horrible emotions of anger, doubt, fear, and scarcity. If you are someone who wants to do anything great in this life, you have to be extremely intentional about the inputs you're putting into your mind.
Have you ever noticed how dogs will suddenly bark and howl in the middle of the night for no reason? Well, this might explain why a security camera set up in a quiet neighborhood captured something eerie. On the road, you can see a dark, hazy figure appear. It looks humanoid, but it's completely black and shadow-like. As soon as this figure walks past a particular house, the dog inside goes crazy, barking and howling furiously. It's almost like the dog sensed something wasn't right, reacting instantly to whatever this thing was. But what was it? As usual, the community can't seem to come to an agreement on what the shadowy figure could have been. That's not the only mystery on their minds. There's also the lingering question, could this be proof that dogs see things we can't? I guess that's a question we may never be able to answer for a while.
Back in 1997, a man named Mal Waters called into a radio station, Coast to Coast AM, a show known for covering strange and mysterious topics. Mal's story quickly became one of the most talked about topics in paranormal circles. He claimed to have found a mysterious hole on his property in Washington state, which he called Mel's Hole. According to Mel, this hole was no ordinary pit. It seemed to be bottomless. He explained that locals had thrown all kinds of objects into it over the years, including refrigerators and tires, but nothing ever made a sound or seemed to hit the bottom. The strangest part, Mel said that animals refused to go near it, and there were reports that when dead animals were thrown into the hole, they would return to life. Mel's story sparked a lot of curiosity, but the exact location of Mel's hole has never been confirmed. Some people believe it's a hoax, while others think it could be some kind of portal or a government cover-up. The mystery of Mel's hole continues to capture imagination to this day. They say that when people pass away unexpectedly, their spirits linger around the people and places they cherished, trying to say one final goodbye.
I wasn't sure how true this was until I came across this footage and heard the story behind it. What you're seeing is a welder working alone in a shop when all of a sudden he starts interacting with something unseen behind him. He was by himself, yet it looked like he was talking to thin air. A security guard watching this on the monitors called the man, asking who he was speaking to, and the welder replied that it was one of his co-workers. When the guard showed him the footage, the welder was in shock. They decided to call and check on the co-worker, and to their horror, they found out that he'd passed away earlier that day. It seems he came back to say goodbye. This encounter is truly chilling and raises so many questions about what happens after death. Have you ever experienced something like this? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Wondering what we are looking at here? Well, scientists have created tiny robots that can move and join individual cells. This amazing technology is called microscale robotics for single-cell manipulation. These tiny robots are incredibly precise and can work at the scale of a single cell, giving us control over how cells behave and interact. They could be used in many exciting ways in medicine and biology, like delivering drugs exactly where they're needed, repairing tissues, or studying how cells act in different situations. Imagine being able to fix damaged tissues, creating new tissues for transplants, or even cure diseases by targeting them at the cellular level. This technology completely changed how we approach medical treatments and scientific research, opening up new possibilities for healthcare. I don't know about you, but this has me fascinated and excited. Someone found this strange creature walking on the ground. It was some sort of insect with what looked like little sticks sticking out from its back. I had never seen this before until I did a little research and found out that this is called a bagworm. Bagworms are fascinating creatures. They're actually the larvae of moths, and they create protective cases around themselves using silk and bits of plant material like twigs and leaves, which is why it looked like it had sticks sticking out of its back. These cases or bags provide camouflage and protection as the larvae feed on foliage. What's really interesting about bagworms is their life cycle. These larvae hatch and immediately begin to build their protective bags, which they carry around with them as they move. When they pupate, they do so inside these bags. The adult males emerge as moths, but the females often remain in their bags, where they lay eggs to start the cycle anew. While they might look a bit creepy or unusual at first glance, bagworms are a natural part of many ecosystems. They can, however, become pests if their population grew too large, as they can defoliate trees and shrubs. So next time you see what looks like a walking bundle of sticks, you'll know you're looking at a bagworm.
Có thải. Nó phát ra蚊子好大哦。
Asia has one of the most unique and diverse food cultures in the world. They can practically turn anything into a meal. So when I first saw this footage, my immediate thought was, is this about food? In the video, 3 men are inside a room and swarming all around them are yellow and black insects. It's unclear whether they're wasps, hornets, or some other species. But what's really shocking is how the men are grabbing them with their bare hands completely unfazed. The insects are buzzing everywhere, some even landing on their backs and arms, yet the men aren't being stung. Instead, they're laughing and interacting with the swarm like it's no big deal. Now, in many parts of Asia, insects like these are actually considered a delicacy due to their high protein content. Some people even farm them specifically for food. But I'm not sure if that's what's happening here. This is just speculation. One thing I am sure of, however, is that I'm definitely not doing this with any wasp. Never.
Có thải. 哦，南方的蚊子好大哦。
It's widely speculated belief that heaven is above us in the sky while hell lies deep beneath the surface. I'm not sure how that idea started, but here's what many people have believed for centuries. And maybe that's why there have been so many accounts of people claiming to have heard strange noises coming from the ground, sounds from hell itself. In this footage, a construction worker started hearing something unusual coming from beneath the earth. As he walked over to an already cracked section of ground and opened it, that's when he heard it, a wailing sound, almost like voices crying out in agony. Listen. It sounds unnatural, like a chorus of souls screaming from below. Many people believe that these are the cries of condemned souls who have been trapped in hell or some kind of underworld. One commenter, however, suggested that this could simply be the sound of wind moving through the underground tunnels and crevices, creating an eerie wailing effect. Logical, I know, but this channel examines things beyond the natural. Put on your paranormal lenses and tell me what you see. In this peculiar incident, a trail camera in the woods captured a deer calmly grazing when something strange unfolded. A figure is shadowy and indistinct and walks behind the deer before vanishing into the background. What makes the footage even more intriguing is the deer's reaction. It stops eating and turns its head to track the movement of the figure, clearly aware of its presence. The figure doesn't resemble any typical human or animal. Its form is elusive, almost otherworldly, leading some to speculate that this could be a cloaked alien or some kind of entity. What do you guys think? A resident living on a Native American reservation in Saskatchewan, Canada, had a chilling experience while on a night patrol with their partner. As they drove along a quiet road, their headlights illuminated something unusual on the side of the road, a small, ghostly figure pacing back and forth. The figure appeared restless, moving with an agitated energy. The sight unnerved them so much that they quickly drove away, leaving the mysterious entity behind. The duo had no explanation for what they saw. One of them suggested it might be a restless spirit that's perhaps tied to the land's history and culture. The other suggested it might be something else entirely. Unable to decide what it was, they uploaded their clip online to get the opinions of others. You've seen the clip, so what's your take? A family took their kids to the park for a fun day out when they noticed something strange. Even their young son saw it, and without hesitation, he took off running. In the bushes, just behind the tall grass, there was a tall, pale figure standing completely still. It was only visible for a few seconds, and then it was gone. The moment the parents spotted it, they grabbed their kids and left as fast as they could. But what was that thing? Since the park is frequented by children, some believe it could have been a suspicious person, possibly even a child predator lurking nearby. While that sounds logical, members of the paranormal community think this is something more disturbing, perhaps a cryptid that preys on children or something not of this world. Names like Wendigo, which is believed to have a preference for sweet, fat children, came up. They did investigate the location, but there was nothing there. It was almost as if whatever was caught on camera had just vanished. You've seen the clip, so what do you think?
What is that? Like a nest? It looks like a shoe. I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's not like a person.
What do you see when you look at this clip? At first glance, it looks like a person gripping onto the branch for dear life, right? But the longer you look, the less human it seems. Some people believe it could be something that has been in the tree for a long time, blending into its surroundings. But what exactly is it? The paranormal community is convinced this could be a cryptid, some kind of unknown creature using camouflage to hide in plain sight. Skeptics, however, aren't buying it. They believe it's nothing more than a twisted, oddly shaped tree branch that just happens to look like a figure. While that sounds more like a grounded explanation, some in the community did point out that it could be the shell of a skinwalker. I didn't know skinwalkers shed their skin before this clip, but, well, now I think about it, it's literally in the name. Anyway, you've seen the clip, so what do you think?
What is that? Like a nest? Looks like a shoe. I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's not like a person.
You want to read a book with Dada? You want an iPad?
A concerning trend is being referred to as the iPad kids disease. As parents become increasingly occupied with their jobs and responsibilities, screens like iPads, iPhones, and TVs are often used to keep children entertained. While it seems convenient, this over-reliance on screens seems to have become an alarming effect on children. Just look at this. Children mimicking swiping motions in their sleep, throwing severe tantrums when devices are taken away, and showing heightened aggression without screen access. Beyond these immediate behaviors, there's a deeper issue. Many of these kids lack social skills, struggle with real-world interactions, and show minimal interest in physical activities or imaginative play. Experts warn that excessive screen time during formative years may hinder children's emotional development and ability to navigate relationships in the future. What will become of a generation raised more by screens than by human interaction? A woman was driving when she spotted a lone deer by the side of the road. Captivated by the serene sight, she snapped a picture without giving it much thought. Because, well, why not? However, when she got home and revisited the image, something unsettling caught her eye. Right in front of the deer, a ghostly figure stood. It had a translucent form that became even more distinct when the clip was enhanced. This left her confused as it was a lonely path with no individuals. Naturally, she uploaded this online where some called her an attention seeker. Looking at the capture, there's a possibility that this might be authentic, but if it is, could we be dealing with a spirit watching over the deer, or is it nothing more than an optical illusion? It's hard to say, but let's hear your thoughts. A man had just bought a new property in a very remote area. His front yard opened directly into the woods, so he set up a security camera to keep an eye on the road leading to his house. One night, his motion sensor went off. Thinking it was probably just an animal, he grabbed a flashlight and went outside to check. At the time, he didn't see anything unusual. The woods were quiet and nothing was in sight. But since that night, the motion sensor had kept going off repeatedly. So he decided to review the footage from the first night, and that's when he noticed something chilling. As his flashlight swept across the forest, you see it. A dark figure with a pale head darting between the trees. But here's the disturbing part. The way it moved was not normal. It didn't look like walking or running. Its motion was unnaturally smooth, almost as if it was floating. The man was completely spooked. It seemed like something else was lurking on the property with him. But despite the eerie discovery, he doesn't seem willing to leave. He decided he might just have to live alongside whatever this is. Some believe it could be a skinwalker, while others suggest it might be a forest spirit, especially considering how deep in the woods the property is. But you've seen the clip, so what would you have done in his shoes? Most of the time, when people spot Bigfoot, it's described as having brown or black fur, usually wandering through forests. We all know the typical description, a large humanoid ape-like creature lurking in the wilderness. But what about this? A group of men were riding through the snow when they saw something unusual. This white-furred, Bigfoot-like creature was walking through the snow, moving just like the classic Bigfoot sightings we've seen before. Except this one wasn't brown or black, it was completely white. Now, some people immediately called this a Yeti, the legendary snow creature of the Himalayas. But this sighting didn't happen in the Himalayas, it happened somewhere else entirely. So was this a rare, winter-adapted Bigfoot? A Yeti that somehow ended up in a different region, maybe visiting his Bigfoot cousin, or something else entirely? Let's hear your thoughts. A couple had recently installed a security camera in their child's room due to their little one's unusual nighttime behavior. Their child had been crying and refusing to sleep at night, insisting that there was a monster lurking under the bed. Initially, the parents interpreted this as just a common childhood fear of the dark, believing that most kids go through a phase where they imagine monsters hiding in the shadows or the closets. However, one night, the footage captured by the camera revealed something that terrified them. In the dead of night, the video showed a strange dark figure gradually emerging from the doorway. It peered into the room, its glowing eyes piercing through the dim light, exuding an unsettling presence. The figure's elongated hand slithered around the doorframe. After a moment of stillness, the figure retreated into the darkness without a sound. The parents watched in shock, realizing their child had not been joking or simply afraid of the dark at all. This chilling discovery changed their understanding of what was truly haunting their little one that night. This was taken in Russia, and no, it's not a new fashion trend, although I think it would be cool. Anyway, these individuals were wearing those white mesh masks as a way to stop facial recognition cameras from recognizing them. Not sure what's happening in Russia, but for some odd reason, people feel they ought to protect themselves using means like this. While that does look interesting, I can't help but wonder how effective it is. Also, is it safe to consider them as individuals breaking the law, or should they just be considered freedom fighters fighting for their privacy? The lines get blurry when it comes to things like this, but do tell, would you wear something like this to hide your identity? Let's take a look at this footage that was captured by some boaters in the Dominican Republic. They were out in the ocean, not too far from the shore, when they noticed something unusual. On the beach, there was a humanoid figure standing near the water. Watch closely. It suddenly jumps into the sea, revealing what looks like a tail. But here's where it gets even stranger. This wasn't just one figure, there were several of them. Most of them already in the water, their upper torsos visible above the surface. But one in particular kept diving in and out of the waves, moving in a way that didn't seem entirely human. The person behind the camera was even waving at the creatures as the boat floated by. Now, this is interesting. Like many mysterious creatures we've seen on the channel, mermaids have always been considered mythical. But with all the strange things being captured lately, maybe these creatures aren't so mythical after all. Some believe this could be real proof that mermaids exist, while others aren't convinced, suggesting the footage could be edited or simply having humans pretending to be merfolk. Next, we got a clip from two friends who had gone to the dock to hang out. They were just two women casually looking over the water when they noticed something strange. There, walking on the water, was a tall, dark figure. It moved smoothly across the surface, heading toward the middle of the water. and then it crouched down and vanished. When they posted the footage online, people had mixed reactions. Some skeptics claim it was just a reflection. But here's the thing. There was no one else there, and there were no structures or anything that could explain how someone was walking on the water. So if it wasn't a reflection or a trick of the light, what was it? Many believe that given its tall, thin, shadowy appearance, this could be Slender Man, the infamous supernatural entity known to appear in desolate areas. Opinions have been varied, and the comments section of the original post has been nothing short of a war zone. Do you have classified intelligence? Maybe an opinion could help the argument in war to end, huh? If you pay attention, you should notice a green hue in the lake. See it now? What do you think that is? This is recorded by a lady whose time with nature was interrupted by her seeing this. She insists that there was no machines in the area and that she was definitely the only one present. Looking at the clip, it's hard to say for sure where the green light could have come from, but then again, some leaks from individuals claiming to work or at least formerly worked in the government state that some UAPs and UFOs are hiding in our waters and the government is aware. When the clip first surfaced, some began suspecting it was a UAP hiding in plain sight, just like the leaks had suggested. While everyone was in awe and encouraging her to go back to the site and see what else she could find, someone mentioned it might not be extraterrestrials at all. Instead, it might just be divers at work. This next footage was captured by a drone during the COVID-19 pandemic, and it's nothing short of haunting. As you can see, individuals dressed in white and black protective gear wearing masks are seen stacking long wooden boxes into the ground. What you're witnessing is a mass burial. The bodies of people who tragically passed away from the virus and were unclaimed by their families. If you're wondering where this is, it's Hart Island in New York. However, this island holds a grim history that predates the pandemic. It has been used as a military prison camp, a psychiatric hospital, a reform school, and more. Today it functions as a public cemetery where the unclaimed and identified are laid to rest. Eerily, no one lives on Hart Island. It's like a cemetery for the forgotten. And if there were ever a zombie apocalypse, New Yorkers might want to be cautious about this place. It's said to house countless buried bodies and possibly lost souls. Some people spotted a tiny creature in the woods, and honestly, this one is bizarre. The creature was wearing a robe, walking slowly across the forest floor. It was very small, but then when you focus on its features, it almost looks like Yoda from Star Wars. It was seen pulling a garden gnome out of the ground and then walking away with it. Its body slightly hunched, head tilted downward as it moved. With all the strange things captured on camera lately, the paranormal community wasn't too shocked by this footage. Some felt it was an alien, perhaps a smaller species of alien. Some even started arguing that there's a chance that aliens could be smaller beings or have the ability to make themselves small. They argued that if this was the case, then the gnomes and goblins people have been seen in the past are nothing more than aliens. When you think about it like that, it does make sense. If aliens were smaller or had the ability to make themselves small, then they could probably be living amongst us undetected because, we wouldn't be looking out for small creatures when we think alien. As interesting as that sounds, skeptics couldn't help but notice something odd. The way the creature moves and the slightly unnatural appearance makes some believe this could be a CGI creation rather than a real entity. You've seen the clip and heard both sides of the argument, so which do you agree with? Have you ever heard of the hide behind before? Well, take a look at this footage. It was captured on a trail camera deep in the forest. And if you watch closely on the right side of the screen, you'll see an arm quickly slide behind a tree. But here's the creepy part. We never see who or what the arm belongs to. Now, if you're familiar with old logging folklore, you might know that not every lumberjack who went into the forest came back out, and many of those disappearances were blamed on the hide-behind. As the name suggests, these creatures are said to lurk behind trees, always just out of sight. They watch their victims, waiting for the perfect moment, and when you least expect it, they snatch you away into the unknown. Legends say they're extremely dangerous, and you'll never see their true form, only glimpses of a shadow, an arm, or part of their body peeking from behind a tree. So if you're ever alone in the woods and suddenly feel like something is watching you, don't ignore it, because if it's a hide behind, you might not get the chance to run. According to this list of strange home captures, we've got this clip recorded by a homeowner when she started hearing strange tapping sounds on her window. It scared her and she wanted to have evidence of the experience. What she didn't count on, however, was seeing a creepy face from behind the window. That definitely does not look human, and the one recording it knew it. She, however, survived the night and uploaded it online seeking answers. Some were shocked, while others were skeptical. Some even asked why they didn't close their curtains, especially when it's night. So many things don't exactly add up, but let's have your thoughts on this one.
Елена Анатольевна, мы вот сами не можем поверить. Мы пошли погулять. Мы сейчас видели. И вот здесь вот такое чудо.
A family in Russia was astonished by an unusual sight in the sky above a building. In the clouds was a distinct cross shape. It looks like a divine display. Naturally, such a phenomenon immediately stirred conversations and speculations about its origin. Some viewers marveled at the sight, wondering if it could be a supernatural sign or a message from above. The cross's clarity and position lent it an air of mystique. However, I think the cross is likely a reflection caused by the lights positioned to the building's cornice. The bright lights beaming upward could have reflected onto the cloud cover, creating the illusion of a perfect cross. What do you think? Back in 2022, a group of people were touring Alaska when they noticed something unusual on the water's surface. There was some kind of creature moving beneath the water, and on the surface you could see several bumps rising and falling, almost like they belonged to a single massive body. The thing is, no one knows what it was. With the ocean being one of the most unexplored parts of the Earth, it wouldn't be surprising if this was some kind of undiscovered sea monster. Because when you look at the movement, whatever this was seemed incredibly long and massive. Unless, of course, it's AI and CGI at work. Have you ever wondered how portals came about? Because we have footage of a man experiencing strange events in his garage, and many believe this could be the portal opening up. It all started when he was woken up in the middle of the night by strange, vibrating sounds. Confused, he got up to check his living room but saw nothing out of place. But as he was about to head back to bed, he glanced out of the window towards his shed, and that's when he noticed something odd. The shed door was slightly open, then slowly closed like something had slipped inside. Thinking it might be an intruder, he rushed outside to check, and when he got there, nothing was there. Determined to find out what was going on, he set up a camera to monitor the shed, hoping to catch who or what was entering and leaving. But here's where things got even weirder. The footage never captured anyone physically entering or leaving, only the door opening and closing by itself. And the vibrating sounds would start and stop randomly with no explanation. One night, as the vibrations started again, he decided to run outside immediately, and that's when he saw it. A tall black figure standing right beside the shed. It looked humanoid, but there was something off about it, almost like it wasn't fully solid. And the moment it noticed him, he felt an overwhelming sense of dread. When he shared his footage and experience online, almost everyone said the same thing. They believed that there could be a portal inside his shed, allowing entities to come and go, which might explain the door movement and vibrations. But if that's true, how did the portal suddenly appear? Portals don't just open out of nowhere, do they? Does anyone have any idea what could be going on here?
يا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حسنا كعيان حسنا خذوا في باطن هذا البئر.
I have seen weird things from the Middle East, but this clip might just make top 10 or 15, but you get the point. The clip introduces us to two men making references to something beneath a rock. It looks like it's got dark fingers, and I'm not sure if the thing's trying to escape or trying to keep them out, but they can see it and are clearly interested as well. The clip ends before we can find out what they did, but judging from the fact that they were able to upload this, we can say that they're alive, or at least a part of them. Many who saw this were convinced that the men we see in the clip had encountered a jinn. Looking at the clip, I get why they would think that, but this is not something we can easily confirm unless they were there or saw a full body shot at least. There are some in the fraternity who remain skeptical, though. They feel it was just staged for views and likes. If that's the case, then they certainly did achieve their goal.
يا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حسنا كعيان حسنا خذوا في باطن هذا البئر خذه.
When it comes to Mars and the question of life out there, the debate has been going on for years. Some say it's just a barren wasteland, while others believe the planet once hosted an advanced ancient civilization and even still does. Recently, researchers uncovered evidence on Mars that adds fuel to the mystery. They found traces of what appears to be microbial life. These are tiny organisms that once lived on the red planet. Samples taken for testing show signs that these microbes could have thrived in Mars's past environment, which suggests the planet was not always as dead as it looks today. For those who've always speculated about ruins, hidden structures, or even the possibility of intelligent life, this discovery feels like the first real step toward clarity. Is this proof that Mars once supported life and possibly even civilizations before us, or is it just the smallest trace of biology, leaving with us more questions than answers?
And with that, we end today's episode. Thank you for staying with us.
Before you go, are there clips and videos you think we should have featured by now that we haven't? Well, the good news is you can share them with us and we will post them crediting you. Please send any such footage, including ones you recorded yourself, to us via classifiedcaptures@gmail.com. We'll do our thing and include it in our next episode. We can't wait to receive what you have.
I've been Steve. This has been Classified Captures. Share this with someone you love, and I'll see you in the next one.